Welcome to your 2021 Spring Signature Wine Club shipment from Red Newt Cellars. We're so excited that you're getting this pack of 6 wines from us. We really spend a lot of time thinking about what wines to send. Our wine club isn't something that we just offload wines to. This is something that we put a lot of care and attention into. So we're going to talk you through, in relatively brief terms, the 6 wines. Actually, every wine that comes to you will have a little QR code on it that you can scan and get a full rundown of what the wine has in it and what we think of it. But this gives you a sense of what the connections between all these wines are. So we'll start with
the 2017 Dry Riesling, which would be, I guess, our classic, series. A really good introduction to this pack of wines because it's kind of showcasing how we handle our wines, the Riesling in particular, a little bit of skin contact, a little bit of power and structure built into it, but still really kind of focusing on, just a clean, balanced wine.
and a bit of a pre-release in some ways. We're just kicking over to this 17 vintage out in the market and in our tasting room, but this is a chance for you to try it first. It does then lead to the 2016 vintage of Tango Oaks Vineyard Riesling, which is a real pre-release. This is not something that's going to be out there for at least another 6 months. Tango Oaks, as you know, is one of our favorite sites. It's just downslope from the winery. This, in comparison to that dry Riesling, a little bit bigger, a little bit more textured. The acid's actually a little bit more relaxed. It's a little more of a rounded expression, more spicy, which is what we look for in Tango Oaks every year, and we hope you find in this 16 bottling.
And then after we move from that, we will actually go to the 2016 Tango Oaks Lees Reserve, which is, again, from Tango Oaks, also a dry Riesling, but a really unique expression that we did in 2016 where, we actually kept, peeled off about 500 liters of Tango Oaks and let it ferment by itself, and then we kept it for an extra year on the lees, which counterintuitively, to me at least, ended up building a more kind of like tightly wound wine, whereas I thought it would be a little bit more relaxed due to its extended fermentation time.
So a real fun chance for you to do a horizontal, as it were. You can try the 16 Tango, you can try the 16 Tango Oaks Lees Reserve and see what that almost like 1-to-1 comparison is between the same vintage, same wine, just a little bit different handling, or maybe a lot bit different.
It's true.
From there, we have the 2020 vintage of the Kelby Russell Dry Rosé. This is in every spring shipment. We love making this wine. We love sending this wine out every spring as a expression of kind of rebirth that's happening all around. That feels especially true this year as we're coming off the pandemic, hopefully coming off the pandemic. 2020, great year for everything in the Finger Lakes, if we're being honest.
It was remarkable.
If you've been following us for a while, this 2020 rosé will remind you actually quite a bit, connecting it back to the Rieslings, of the 2016 vintage. Relatively warm, dry vintage, a lot more concentration, smaller berries, darker color in this rosé, even though the winemaking is the same as it's always been, which is 3 days on skins before pressing off. Some years that means a lighter bodied wine. Some years that means a much darker, almost cherry colored wine, which is what we see this year. But in all instances, you have a bone dry, beautiful dry Riesling.
Dry rosé.
Dry rosé.
And that also kind of brings us more into the red wines of the, club shipment that you've got there with the 2013 Merlot. This would be, again, under the Classic Label Series, so not a single vineyard designation. And 2013 was a fantastic year for wines in the Finger Lakes, kind of like 2020 that Kelby was just describing, and really provided some fabulous kind of hang time, good flavor development. And with this Merlot in particular, it's just a joy because it really highlights some of those darker fruit characteristics that also come with structure from an exceptional vineyard site for Merlot in the Finger Lakes.
And then to cap off your shipment, we finish with another Merlot. This is the 2012 vintage Glacier Ridge Vineyard Merlot. Glacier Ridge, as you know, is our premier red vineyard site. We love working with it for any number of red grapes and maybe a few other surprises that we have up our sleeves. 2012, great vintage, warm vintage. This is a wine that is, I suppose, about 9 years old now, but is actually just starting to drink well in the classic Glacier Ridge mold. Really big, really dark, really smoky and peppery. It's a great wine to have anytime, and is a great comparison to that 13 before it, which is intentionally a little bit lighter bodied, a little fresher, maybe a little bit more easygoing. This Glacier Ridge is a wine that you want to maybe decant, maybe have with a steak or a grilled mushroom, and really enjoy just what that texture and time has done for a great vineyard site.
So we hope that you take the time and enjoy tasting through the wines. We hope that maybe you have an opportunity to try one of our recipes or two. Some of them a little simpler, some of them more complicated. Have some fun, do a weeknight, do a weekend, but really try and find or really, we hope that you find the joy with the wine and also the food that we do.
So take a look through these wines. Enjoy the QR codes, the goofy videos of Meagz and I talking about each one in more depth. Please let us know what you think. Never hesitate to reach out to Katie and Dave and the whole team here who do an amazing job with your wine club shipments and really love interacting with all of you. It's what makes our job so much fun.
Cheers.